Hi, I'm Mr. C, the teacher, and the lessons I've created here are the same ones I use in my classroom on a daily basis. So grab your tools for school and join in with our lessons, or just sit back and watch along with us. Let's do some learning together, because you're watching Lessons from the Classroom. In this series, we're going to spend the next 15 lessons learning about guided reading, and we'll do some guided reading together with some leveled books. And that is what we're going to do here in these lessons with guided reading. I'm going to teach you how to picture walk and talk about each picture on each page. Pictures are an important part of reading. That's why when kids learn to read, they start off with picture storybooks. That old expression, a picture says 1,000 words, well, there's some truth to it. And I can't imagine children starting to learn to read using books with no pictures, right? Those pictures are important. A lot can be taken from the meaning in the text by what's shown in the picture. And in fact, when you think about it, as students get to be stronger readers, they graduate from those simple picture storybooks to books where there's a lot more text on the page and a little less of what's happening in the picture for what's written in the text. And then eventually kids move into those beginning chapter books. And later on, when they're older kids, of course, they're reading novels. And there's very few pictures, as we know, in novels. So really, beginner readers, picture storybooks are extremely important. Important to be reading to your child from picture storybooks and showing them the pictures, and important to start your children reading using picture storybooks, of course, as well. I'm going to have mom or dad read the story to you so that you can find out if your picture walk was accurate or where there was change. When it comes to learning to read, well, it's important that moms and dads read stories to you every night, but it's also important that you slowly learn how to read. Mom and dad are going to help you echo read, where they read a sentence first and then you read it back. But you have to be pointing your finger when mom and dad are reading the words and when you read the words. And lastly, you'll get to the stage where you'll try reading independently on your own, but mom and dad are there to help you out and help you correct any mistakes you make or where you get stuck on words. Learning to read often means you have to master that book before you move on to a new book. And that could take 8 times, 9 times, 10 times, who knows, maybe even 12 or 15 times reading through that book over and over and over again until you can read from the very first word on the first page to the very last word on the last page with no mistakes, no needing help, and your reading pace, the speed that you read at, is about the same pace that you talk at. Today, we are going to start learning guided reading, and that is one skill where you can actually pick up a picture storybook and start having your child read. You need to be a part of it, of course. You're right there next to your child, and this is a partnership between you and your child learning how to read these picture storybooks, where I will be doing that guided reading with leveled books that you and your child can follow along with. The book is going to be on your screen instead of in your hand, but you can still follow along and learn to read, and hopefully it'll teach you enough that you'll gain the skills to be able to find your own books from the library or at home and do these same guided reading skills. All right, so let's get started. Let's take a look at our series of books that we're going to read, and the very first one we're going to start with. So where are we going to start with guided reading? Well, at the very beginning, the beginning first level. And in this series called Read at Home, our first leveled book that we're going to start with is leveled as Level 1A. The rest of the books will progress, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, and so on, all the way up through to, I think, 5C is our highest level. There becomes more and more text on the pages as we get into those higher levels. But we begin at the beginning, so this is the first book we're going to work with in this series of episodes. All right, let's get started with The Snowman, Level 1A, in the Read at Home Guided Reading Series. Here we go. So we're going to do some guided reading. This is a Read at Home book, Level 1A. It's called The Snowman. In guided reading, we're going to do a picture walk first, then we'll do a read of the story, and then we'll do an echo reading, and then you can go on and try and read the story yourself with the help of Mom or Dad. Let's take a look at Read at Home, talk about what we see. So taking a look at this first picture, what do you see happening? You can always pause the video if you want to talk for longer. Again, pause the video if you need longer. Let's try the next. Uh-oh. Take some more time by pausing the video if you need. Let's take this. On the last page. There are some questions here. Think about the story. What are the colors the snowman is wearing? Why did Floppy run off? What else could you put on the snowman? What would you like to make with snow or sand? Here's a fun activity. Find the twin snowmen. Which two are the same? Look at the buttons. Look at the hats. Okay, we're going to start this book again. This time it's just going to be a read through. Let me read the story and see if you got some of it right when you were doing your picture walk. And it doesn't matter if you guessed some wrong things. Let's take a look. These are all names of the kids. We have Biff, Chip, Wilma. On this page, we've got Wilf, that must be this guy, Kipper, and Floppy, Floppy the dog. Can you see that? There's Floppy. Wilma made a snowman. It had a red nose. It had a blue scarf. It had green gloves. It had a black hat. The hat fell on Floppy. Floppy ran. Oh no! No snowman. What things did you spot in the pictures when you did your picture walk that were the same when I read the story? Okay, now we're going to go to part 3, which is an echo read. Remember, that's where I read first and then you read after. Okay, Mr. C's turn. Biff, Chip, Wilma. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. Wilf, Kipper, Floppy. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. Wilma made a snowman. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. It had a red nose. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. It had a blue scarf. Your turn. Remember, you're looking at the words as I point to them when I read, and then you're looking at the words when you read and I'm pointing to them. Mr. C's turn. It had green gloves. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. It had a black hat. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. The hat fell on Floppy. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. Floppy ran. Your turn. Mr. C's turn. Oh no! Your turn. Now look at the exclamation mark. That means that that word can be said louder. Oh no! Mr. C's turn. No snowman! Exclamation mark. Your turn. Well done. Okay, now we move on to part 4, and that's just you reading. Mr. C will do a quick read through again anyways, but now you're going to reread the book over and over and over until you can do it all by yourself with no mistakes and no help needed. Let's do our first read through with you helping out. Then Mr. C will do the first page. Biff, Chip, Wilma, Wilf, Kipper, Floppy. Those are the names. Okay, you give it a try, starting with Wilma's name. Did you get Wilma made a snowman? Try it again. Here's our next page. Take a look at the picture for clues. Try this sentence. Did you get it had a red nose? Try it again if you need to. Here's our next page. Look for clues. Did you get it had a blue scarf? Try it again if you need to. Look for clues. Did you get it had green gloves? Try it again if you need to. Look for clues. Each page talks about an object and a color. Try the sentence. Did you get it had a black hat? Try it again if you need to. Look for the clue. Try the sentence. Did you get the hat fell on Floppy? Try it again if you need to. Let's do both pages. Did you get Floppy ran? Oh no! Try it again if you need to. Last page. Did you get no snowman? Remember that exclamation mark. Try it again if you need. Well done. One more time through the book. You can always go back to the video and do this last part over and over. Reading on your own this time. Repeat this last section of the video over and over until you can read the story all the way through with no mistakes, no help needed, and just a nice, smooth, fluent voice, meaning you're reading at the same speed that you talk. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today's lesson. But reading this story reminds me of one other quick thing that I want to do just before we finish off for today. You know, whenever I think of a snowman, it makes me think of doing that art activity where you can use a toilet paper roll and a few other items to make a snowman. Let's see what I've got here. Got some felt markers and a couple of twigs, some buttons and googly eyes, some sticker eyes, hot glue gun, glue. Got my toilet paper roll. I like to use the nice big thick ones that come off of bamboo toilet paper. Got some pipe cleaners and pom-poms, a little bit of fabric here, some wool. So I've got lots of items I could use to make a snowman. Let's go ahead and do that. Thanks for joining me today in our lesson. Hope to see you again soon. I hope you had some fun, worked on some new skills, and maybe learned something new as well. Join me next time on another episode of Lessons from the Classroom. Bye for now.